We are here with another mock draft on a Friday for you guys this time. And I am going to show you how to do the double tap at the end of the draft. And let's see if Matt agrees with my strategy or not on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ahne, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ahne. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It will subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio end on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us as well. And lastly, most importantly to you guys and us this time of year, give us a chance on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's an in-depth, personalized experience through text messaging alerts that you're going to get right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute podcast. And this time of year, you're going to get our 2025 rankings, sleepers, breakouts, bust, and so much more. And Matt and I have been really fine-tuning our rankings and really going deep and making sure everything is ready for you guys. So if you are interested in joining us on Subtext, the link is in our bio, wherever you're listening or watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And today's episode is brought to you by is brought to you by FanDuel. So make sure you get in on the action while the NFL playoffs are going on. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and $300 in bonus bets on FanDuel. So check them out. And all right, Matt, we are here with another, mock draft for you. And this time it's my turn. So I am in, the hot seat once again, turning it back on me here. And this time, I'm drafting from the 12 spot, as normal. And we will, what we normally do is a 5x5 head-to-head categories leagues, 12-man team. We are going to be switching that up as we go through, our mock drafts here. And, give you guys some different looks. I think next week we're going to do an NFBC style with a couple catchers, a lot of outfielders, corner, middle, infielder. And then we'll do some points leagues and switch it up as we go along. But once again, today we are here to talk about the double tap and how you are supposed to approach that strategy when you are drafting at the end or the beginning of your draft. And you have those 2 picks in a row, specifically drafted from the 12 spot today. So let's get into it. Matt, any thoughts or comments here before, we just get into it?
Honestly, it just prefaces that, it's and I know you said this, a 5x5 head-to-head league. And quite honestly, look, if you're looking for points content, unfortunately, we don't do it, but a lot of it is still applicable. So, we'll mention a little bit of the things that if we highlight a player that is going to be valuable in both, but at the same time, like still the draft strategy still remains the same. And then just kind of curve it to fit your league scoring. Other than that, it really is all about the same. You want to get your runs, you want to get your home runs and all that stuff. So it's the same thing here. It's just, on a little bit different scale. But anyway, all right, Dom, without further ado, I'll leave my my feisty comments for the end here.
we know they're coming. We know they're coming. So let's get right into it. Let's break down this team and how I decided to, approach this draft. So once again, drafted from the 12 spot. My first pick was Julio Rodriguez. Then after that, I went Vladimir Guerrero, fill that first baseman spot. Then coming back on the 3-4 turn, I took Austin Riley. After that, went in with my first starting pitcher. And guys, I'll tell you this, I've been approaching my drafts like this for, I want to say, at least the last 2, maybe 3 years. I love going 3 bats first. And I think it's a really strong strategy. Pitching has been up. Pitching has been a lot better, the last few years. So, which in turn means there's going to be a lot more valuable starting pitchers and a lot less valuable hitters. So you want to make sure you get those big names in there first, and then you can start to kind of build your rotation after that. So like I said, I went Julio Rodriguez, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Austin Riley. Then I took my first starting pitcher with Corbin Burns. I think this is one of the best values. I got my number 4 starting pitcher in the 4th round. Great value there. Probably not going to get that too many times, but, pulled it off in this draft. After that, Another weak position, outfielders. You got to get your outfielders early. If you wait on it, before you know it, they're going to disappear, and you're going to have some risky names in your lineup. I took Teoscar Hernandez. I think a very, very solid pick. His second year with the Dodgers, and we all know the evil empire over there in LA. They're not messing around this year. I think Teoscar is pretty solid with 30 home runs, a lot of RBIs, a lot of runs, decent batting average. He's not going to really hurt you there. James Wood, upside play. I think he's going to be one of the big breakout stars of this year. I have James Wood currently ranked as my number 15 outfielder overall. So I think that's another great price on, a young kid who does have a lot of upside. After that, I said, you know what? Got to get back into the game with some starting pitching. I took Tyler Glasnow. Then I jumped in, and you know what? Got to get in the closer market there too, because if you don't, you're going to miss out on that run, and you're not going to get yourself a good closer. Kind of a strategy that I've been leaning into more in recent years. I was always kind of the wait on closer kind of guy. Bit me in the butt quite a few times. So I have Ricell Iglesias as a top 5 closer. Atlanta's going to get a lot of wins. Really like him there. After that, jumped in. 2 starting pitchers here. Now, this is really where you start thinking about building that rotation, right? I took my top 2. I got Burns, paired him with Glasnow, high upside guy. I came in, took Zach Gallen, who is a little bit risky, but has been pretty consistent if you look at him throughout his career. So he's somebody that I'm not really worried about. He's on a good team. The win potential is there. But then I get myself a stabilizer, and this is what you really need to do. I take Sonny Gray. And Sonny Gray is just one of those, been consistent throughout his whole career. Not somebody you really have to worry about. He's going to give you a good ERA, a good whip, around that K per 9. Really like him. Up next, I wanted to jump in. Second base, is a little bit deeper than you would think, but I don't know why I've been taking so much Luis Garcia this year. I like him. Had a pretty much breakout year last year. Like him in the 11th round. Has a little bit of power. Has some speed. I think this Washington team is going to be a little bit better. I like what he does. Took him there. I jump in next. Jason Dominguez. Might be a little bit early, but I think the word is going to be, he pretty much has that spot. No more Juan Soto. The Yankees need somebody that's going to, go out there and hit the ball. And I think Jason Dominguez can do that. I think he is going to surprise a lot of people. And he pretty much, like I said, has the spot. Moving on, jumped in, took Nico Horner to play shortstop. And I go Jackson Holiday too. Jackson Holiday's a tough one. This is another upside play. I figure between Holiday, Horner, and Luis Garcia, hopefully I can nail 2 of the 3 out of those guys. And you got yourself some middle infield there. After that, jumped in, grabbed another outfielder in Kerry Carpenter and a closer in Jordan Romano. Really not too much to talk about there. Kerry Carpenter had a strong year last year. Jordan Romano, hopefully closing for those Phillies. Me and Matt, think it's pretty much locked in. So I think he might move up too. So good value on a guy like that there. Grab myself another couple starters to round out my rotation, and Clark Schmidt, Spencer Arrighetti. After that, I don't know why these guys are going so late, but in round 19 and 20, I take Josh Young and Christian Encarnacion Strand. I love the value on those 2 right now, 2 young studs that I think are going to have strong bounce-back years. Then I grab my catcher and Sean Murphy for the Braves. Get some more Atlanta exposure, never a bad idea. Had a down year last year, but Sean Murphy, somebody who's been pretty consistent throughout his whole career, not too worried about him. Jump in next, grab Aroldis Chapman as my 3rd closer. I think he's got the spot there. They got Liam Hendricks. We'll see how that goes, but Chapman was healthy last year, pitched pretty well. Hendricks is coming off the injuries and a lot of other stuff he's been dealing with, so not super worried about that. Jump in my last pick, take Jesus Luzardo as my last starting pitcher. Tons of upside there. Was injured last year. Seems like he's going to be good to go for opening day. We'll see how things look coming out of spring training though, and that is the team. Coming up next, Matt's going to give his thoughts on the roster, and let's see how I did in his opinion, and that and more coming up next. All right, folks, I want to talk to you about my friends over at Select Quote. The World Series, Super Bowl, the Olympics, the world's top athlete. top sporting events thanks to one thing: teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. Select Quote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find you the right policy to keep your financial legacy safely in your family's end zone. Select Quotes is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. Other life insurance brokers offer impersonal one-size-fits-all policies that may cost you more and cover you less, while Select Quotes licensed insurance agents work for you to tailor a life insurance policy for your individual needs in as little as 15 minutes. You invest so much of your time to take care of yourself and be the healthiest, best version of you. So Select Quotes exclusive policies can reward that effort. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedon. Go to selectquote.com/lockedon today to get started. And once again, that's selectquote.com/lockedon to get started today. And all right, folks, I need to talk to you once again about the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on the Subtext platform. It's going to be your ultimate fantasy baseball companion as this offseason continues to unfold. You're going to rely on Matt and I for our dynamic content, and you're going to get real-time alerts right to your phone, including our 2025 rankings, sleepers, breakouts, bust, and so much more than we can offer in this 30-minute podcast. So stay ahead of your fantasy league by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where the path to your victories begin. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. Woo. And as always, Matt, you know, that is a lot. And anyway, here we need to see what your thoughts are on this team that I have drafted.
You sure you don't want to keep talking? I don't think you've done enough.
Yeah. You know what? As much as I would absolutely love to, Matt, I think I'm going to let you go here.
I don't know. I'm feeling a little fatigued. I gotta go.
Matt, are we ready? Are you starting the year on the IL, Matt? Are you telling the fans you're starting the year on the IL?
Yeah. Just call me Royce Lewis. But all right, enough joking around. Let's get into it. So, I actually forgot to bring this up behind us. Let me do that real quick. And here's the team behind you. You get a full perspective if you're watching on the tubes. And Dom, I gotta say, like overall, like your rotation is good, right? Like.
Sure.
You have a really good base. You have, Corbin Burns, Zach Gallen, the Glass now at pick 3. Go back and listen to my episode yesterday, and I talked about Tyler Glass now and the value. Him as your SB3, I think is absolutely bananas. I understand the elbow injury is something that's a little bit more of the scary part, him having a sprained elbow, but he should be ready for opening day, and there should be no issues. So I'm not scared of him. And we all know when Tyler Glass now is healthy, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's like drafting a Kershaw or a DeGrom or anybody like that, a Mike Trout, even on the other side of the field, where when they're healthy, they're going to give you the best production out there humanly possible. So I'm still willing to take him, especially if he's going to be my number 3. I think it's absolutely a steal. I'm drafting him in a lot of leagues as my 2. It gives you that opportunity to wait around and just do it.
I did draft Glass now before Gallen. As much as I love the credit, I did get him. I did take him a little bit earlier.
From what I'm seeing here, you did actually, yes. Yeah. But still. Even so, though, it's like still like who cares? Like
I still love him. I think I have Glass now in my top 15 starters, but I digress.
Yeah, exactly. And so, as do I. So, Gallen as your kind of like your heart of your real 2, in my opinion. And then Glass now, that could be your true 1, in all honesty, if he plays a full season. Yeah. That 1-2-3 punch is absolutely like, oh my God, everybody should be running in fear. And then Sonny Gray is another option that I just love. He had a great season again last year, and I think he's just going to continue. And to have him on your team as your 4 is a steal. We'll never agree on Clark Schmidt. Sorry.
I know you hate him.
He's going to suck, and he'll be the first guy on your waiver wires after week 3. And the Arrighetti, the Yeti himself, fantastic. And then Luzardo, I love. The Aroldis Chapman one is interesting. I guess you're banking on the fact that he's going to be the closer over in Pittsburgh.
Boston.
That's where he ended up. I'm still not hopeful there. Estevez is still floating around, and I think he might land. So
I was saying earlier, they do have Hendricks too, so he could be in the mix. But as a closer 3, somebody you could easily drop and just kind of mix them up.
What's funny is though, I think Hendricks' ADP is probably horrendous and probably absolutely forgotten. I'd rather have Hendricks over Chapman. I forgot about him being on there. That man is a beast. Thank God he beat cancer. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on to, your bats. This is where I have some problems. Um, you know, Julio Rodriguez paired with James Wood, I think is my biggest issue. So Julio Rodriguez has shown for, his career right now, what this is year 3 going on year 4, and he's just a slow starter. And last year was even worse than the year before. So there's a world where both Julio Rodriguez is up to his normal shenanigans and you're already pissed off. And then James Wood is just having a sophomore kind of slow start. And now you have 2 of your top 5 picks, starting off really slow, and you're not able to keep up with the rest of the league offensively because you have your 2 best players, not really doing it. All you have is Teoscar Hernandez to kind of solidify that outfield. And I look at it and I go, well, yeah, Teoscar's good and he had a fantastic season, but I think the power probably tips back into the 20s. The batting average probably sticks around the same, and the counting stats I feel are going to stay the same because he's on the Dodgers. So he's not making up the difference for the 2 of what you expect him with the draft price you paid, and I don't think that was a safe bet. You decided to pick James Wood over Ozuna, and I feel Ozuna was the better pick. He would have solidified your outfield a little bit better. I understand the sexiness of James Wood as a whole, where that upside, and yes, it's a high upside play, but at the same time, you look at it and okay, I went really risky with my first round pick. How do I solidify that and make sure that I can make up for the slow start that Julio Rodriguez is probably going to have? And that's going to be Ozuna. Then on top of that, I mean, I look at your draft as a whole, and I was just trying to nitpick and things like that. And we both seem to always end up with a low end, shortstop and second baseman, right? But Nico and Horner and Luis Garcia or something of the sort,
Yeah,
right?
I've been doing that. I said that earlier. I've been doing that a lot. I don't know if I like it or not yet, but I've been doing it a lot.
So the more I look at it, the more I hate it. Like even just from the idea, right? But it's really hard to pass on guys that are higher, and I get it because the value is just unmatched. And I'm starting to see my boy Jordan Westberg climb up in the things, which hey, I'd done it, but I did a little too well. But where I think you probably could have made better bang for your buck is if you would have passed on Corbin Burns. You would have went Ozzy Albies or Corey Seager. You would have done that, and then still you could have switched up, either gotten Teoscar or got your first pitcher there, which I would have went like a Nola as a nice stabilizer. That would have been a great one. Then I could have got my Ozuna and then got my Tyler Glass now in the next one. And then instead of Iglesias, there is quite a few outfielders you probably could have picked up around there, like, you know, the Brian Reynolds, even the Luis Robert Juniors that I think probably would have made your outfield not only look a lot better, give it a little bit more security, even though, Roberts has that injury potential, but just on a fact of a matter of guys that I know are going to perform out the gate, right? And then on top of that, I have a little bit more of a stronger infield presence. So, like that, you would have had a way better start to your draft and would have give you a little bit more flexibility. I'm not going to hate on the Vladimir Guerrero Juniors and the Austin Riley picks. Like those are solid. I'm never going to fault it. Apparently, Austin Riley should just get his own picture in both our backgrounds because we've been picking him every week as well. But
That's my guy.
the value is unprecedented, and I think the league is just kind of snapped a little too hard, and like it just don't forget about Austin Riley. He's been incredible for all these years, but you know, like the rest of it is great. Like I mean, you did a really good job in that, and then I look at your UTs and like you went really risky, right? Like a Jason Dominguez and a Jackson
That's the part
Holiday.
I don't like.
Like not only did you have the risk that I was talking about before with Julio Rodriguez and James Wood, you now add in 2 young bloods that are also kind of unproven. Jackson Holiday struggled his first year. Jason Dominguez had a grand total of a week and then couldn't perform throughout the playoffs when he did get his opportunity. But I blame Boone on that. So I'm not really hating on Dominguez. But like he may have a slow start as well. And Jackson Holiday may just pick up right where he left off and still not live up to the hype. He's still young as hell. I got pubes lower than him. So it's just one of those things where like Jackson Holiday just maybe called up too early and thrusted into it, even though I don't think that's going to be his whole story. I think at some point he'll get going, but not for your team. I think that you're going to be in really bad shape just starting off with that. And then like I love the Kerry Carpenter, but he's not enough to go and make up for the holes that I feel you have. The Josh Youngs and the Christian Encarnacion Strand, like there's a world where they both hit, and I believe they do, but to rely on them, which you will be doing because of the state of how I'm looking at your format of your team, is just going to be real rough. So, like as a whole, I think your bats are probably more like a D as a whole. because you gotta, you know what? Before I give the other half of this take, I am going to take a break here because we have some great people to talk about. You're gonna find out what I actually give Dom a full ranking on, and why I'm gonna give him a D coming up next. So, from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep your action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate and variety of bets, keeping every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly, no waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has got you covered. Just visit fanduel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's fanduel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook in the NFL, official partner of the NFL. And guys, look, you know what? We just got to make that first bet win. And I got something for you, right? This one might be a little crazy, but it's probably going to have way better odds than anything else. The Manders are taking down the Eagles, unfortunately, for you Eagle fans. I'm probably going to get smacked by my wife for that one. So, other things we can count on too in this game is going to be high rushing yards from Jaden Daniels. I think that he's going to rush for probably the over on whatever they're setting him out for. Terry McLaurin is probably going to disappear like Casper into the wind, so you can count on the under on the receiving yards. But you're going to have Noah Brown, who I think is going to be an underdog in terms of bets. So go after him for the anytime touchdown. And I think you're going to hit that bet and get that $300. So FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. But all right, we're back. And before I give Dom an opportunity to defend himself, I just want to continue with my argument real quick. So let me get this draft board back up on the screen here for the YouTubers. And reason I feel that you're not going to be able to recover and your team is going to hurt is you have too high of a ceiling and too low of a floor. There's no good baseline. At the beginning of the draft, you could take some risks, right? And by all means, Julio Rodriguez can completely, make me eat some crow, which I hope for too. I like the guy. But you have a high ceiling that could potentially win you the league, but you also could lose your league right here at the draft today because if everybody starts off with how they've been for the last couple of years, or you had the sophomore slumps and things like that, you put yourself at a true disadvantage. So without a conservative approach, at least at certain points, to kind of make up for the high debt ceiling is how I'm going to look at it. You're going to suffer, and therefore I'm going to be the championship in our league. So therefore, you could draft like this all you want, but I'm not scared of this team until I see a month in that it's actually performing.
I hear you. I like a lot of points you made. I definitely I want to how while we're doing the criticism, I want to hop in and criticize myself. Where I see the biggest issue with this team looking back is, and obviously as you're drafting in any draft, it's hard to plan ahead, right? You can look at the team you have as you're going and try adjust along the way, but as in life, you make plans and then the universe laughs at your plans and you wind up wherever you wind up. So looking at this team, from after it's done, the utility spot, like Matt was kind of getting at, the two young guys there with Dominguez and Holiday, and then even before that, you take the James Wood, another young guy with the upside play. And then you look at the bench, it's, Josh Young and Christian Encarnacion-Strand, who were both hurt last year, who themselves are young and have some question marks. So in the bats is definitely where, this team can go wrong. But I think it's just equally as likely that, we get 2 weeks into spring training and, the four guys I named, Dominguez, Holiday, Young, and Strand, if 2 out of those 4 are rocking and rolling, like really like hitting, and it could be any 2. It could be any 2 of Dominguez, Holiday, Young, and Encarnacion-Strand are really rocking and rolling. I like the odds of that. I think it's over 50% chance that 2 out of the 4 of those guys really take off and can take those utility spots. And if the other 2 fail, you know what? By all means, you start playing the waiver wire and see where this thing goes. But that I think is the weak point. I do want to combat a little bit. I think there is at least a decent floor with at least most of these bats. Vladdy, we know who he is. Riley, you hope, comes back from the injury and has been the same guy he's been for the last 3 years before he got hurt. Nico Horner, we know who he is, average steals and runs. Luis Garcia, a little bit risky, but the power and the speed is pretty legit. Batting average kind of questionable, but I think the baseline is at least a 260 guy with him. So I think he chips in at least somewhat. And Teoscar, I think we know who he is. And then even if you look at the underlying stuff, I know you're talking about the power, but all the underlying stuff looks really good from a power perspective for Teoscar. So I think the 30 home runs is pretty safe as long as he stays healthy. So I think this team, like you said, a lot of upside when it comes to the bats. But I do see the world where it starts to fall apart because Julio, it's, that slow first couple of months is almost a guarantee. But, he gets rocking and rolling if he stays healthy after that. I think if I can live through Julio's slow start and potentially some of these young guys not panning out with Vladdy, Riley, Teoscar, Horner, Garcia, and like I said, some of these young guys chipping in. I think there's a world where we stand pat, at least middle of the ground and hitting. And then as Julio starts to come in and carry like he should, that's where you kind of move up. And that's how I was looking at it anyway when I was drafting. You broke down the rotation. I'm not really going to get too much more into that. I really like how it came out. Burns is a great one. Glass now, huge upside, but I like to pair him with a guy like Burns because Burns' strikeout potential is still there, but he, last couple of years has kind of evened out there. So I love that pairing. Gallen, ace potential himself. You spoke about it, Matt. You said you like him as a 2. I got him as a 3. Gray, great stabilizer. Got myself Schmidt. We're not going to agree on Arrighetti after that. Luzardo, great last pick. And the closer situation, Ricell's the top 5 in my opinion. Love him. And I got Romano, I think is going to close for those Phillies. And let's see what Chapman. He's a wild card there. So that's my thoughts. If I had to grade myself, probably a B-. That's where I would go with this team.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I hear you. I just, there is also a world where this all goes to hell real quickly.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Like, like I said, that's why I would like to see like the Ozuna and either like a Seager or an Ozzy Albies floating in there, and your team would be in a way better position, in my opinion. But to each his own. But it's a fun team to have. I would say that there's just a lot of mouth watering potential and talent on the team.
Yeah.
Like I said, I ranked your bats as a D. I give your arms probably about a B plus. So I would say a C minus would be your total score for the team. But that's just where I'm standing and how I'm looking at it. But hey, it is what it is.
I mean, I'll take it. Like I said, that's fair. This time of year, this is really just the prep work, guys. This is where you want to get in and do some mocks. You should. And shout out to Draft Wizard. That's where Matt and I do a lot of our mocks this time of year. It's a great platform to use. Very easy to use app. It's where we go to do ours. And you kind of just play around and you see and you make the adjustments and you see where you can draft guys. You use different strategies. It's still early in the mock draft season. I haven't really done too many. I know I kind of have a similar looking team that I did last time, with the Garcia Horner infield. Got a couple of the same pitchers. I took Young and Strand last time. But that's because where the value's at right now. As the value, changes, we kind of adjust and, we get guys in different spots. And like I said, Matt, the one thing with this team, I think you can at least agree with this. There also is a world where, we're into spring training and you're not going to be able to get Dominguez, Holiday, Young, and Strand on the same team. Because I think there's a world where all 4 of them hit. And I think it's maybe like a 20% chance, but there's a world where all 4 of those guys are rocking and rolling in spring training and all of their ADPs fly through the roof. But like you said, there's also the world where, Young and Strand are still hurt and Holiday can't live up to the hype and Dominguez is still struggling as well. But I also think that's like a 20% chance. So overall, I think it's kind of almost a 50-50 shot as to if that works out for me or not.
So I could totally see where if Strand gets hot and Holiday and Dominguez, they start getting hot in spring training, that draft price is gonna fly. Young has this tag where people just think he's injury prone after 1.5 years. So I think he just has a blemish on him, and I don't think his value is gonna climb much higher, even if he
I hope not.
I don't see, because even last year with the season he had in 2023 going into 24 before the injury even became present. The price was still outrageous. I think that there's just a stain on his name that he needs to outlive, and that by all means, I'm going to take advantage of it wholeheartedly. So for me, like Josh Young, I don't think I foresee going up like crazy, even if he has a Wyatt Langford kind of, um, spring training. They will say, oh, he's going to be hurt. Oh, he's just not that good. This isn't real. And then when he does it all season, that's the people that take him are the ones that are going to be there. But the Strand has so much hype around him that like all he has to do is hit, I think, 4 home runs over spring training and have a decent batting average. And I think the hype will grow and he'll probably be closer to, pick 120 instead of 170, I think is where he's going right now, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Yeah, I'll double check where I took him.
so, that and Dominguez is more of like a New York bump. A lot of people like him, but like the fact that he wasn't able to play, I think is going to give him a stain because of the playoffs and things like this. And Holiday, he even starts relatively hitting in spring training and forget about it. Everybody's going to have just as much, of a hard on as they did for him last year. So, it's,
I got Strand around 250.
yeah. So, like, he'll definitely fly up the board. There's enough hype. It's just people are a little probably scared because he wasn't able to stay healthy. But anyway, Dom, if you have no final notes, I'm going to get us out of here.
Yeah, that's all. Let's go for it.
All right, guys. So, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to really share the show. We truly appreciate everybody. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast, check us out on Subtext. I promise you, you'll be in a better spot of winning your league than you were before you didn't have us. So trust me on that one. And please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. And when when you're done checking us out, check out our boy Sully over Locked On MLB. He'll give you great real baseball coverage. You come here for the fantasy. So, guys, with that being said, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Real.
Okay, are we going to end?